Hello, every Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us on another episode of The Female Fist. I'm your host, Scarlett Delgado, and today I have a beautiful guest with us who has such an incredible history in her career, and I cannot wait to share with everybody. Please welcome Caleigh Rykiss, the CEO and founder of BOLO. How are you doing, Caleigh?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me. We've been talking about this for a little while, so it's nice to
I
finally make it
know,
happen.
I know. I saw you at the United We Fight peaceful fitness protest
Yeah, that's
out at
right.
Queen's Park, was it? I think I met you there, Queen's Park. Yeah, that was an amazing turnout. And you were one of the fitness instructors that day.
Yeah. I did a couple events for them. It was great to obviously come together with some other boxing community members and fitness community members and fight for a very worthy cause, and one that's obviously close to my heart. As you know, my gym BOLO was closed due to COVID setbacks. So,
Right.
anytime that I can show up and support other businesses that have been struggling and, could use the support, like I'm there in a heartbeat.
And that's amazing. I'm so happy that you're willing to, because I know a lot of people are hesitant to kind of even get involved with something like that because, it's just the unknown. Like, what if they get shut down? What if like you get in trouble or something? So
Yeah.
that's amazing that you're willing to be like, no, this is important. So let's
Yeah.
backtrack a little bit. And I want to get some background about you because, we both have something in common. We love boxing. Okay. We
Yes.
love boxing. And as everybody knows, a combat sport is not exactly easy to face head on. And to my knowledge, you actually used to compete not that long ago.
Competitively, I haven't been competitive for almost a decade, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't competed in a while. Mostly that was due to injury. And I guess in my competitive career, so I love boxing. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. I think that's a really common
Yeah.
kind of tale of women who kind of stumble upon the sport and you know didn't expect it to be their number one wellness passion. And that was for sure how it went for me. I went because I loved fitness and I just wanted a great challenge, and I left being like, oh my god, this is forever a part of my life. I left my very first boxing class being like, what was that? This is crazy. Like, I've never felt this way. um and so my competitive journey was unplanned. But I guess it got to the point where, and I don't know if you can relate to this, but it's like I just was like, I loved it so much and I was working so hard at it because I loved it. And then I was like, I just have to test my skills. I just have
Exactly. Because
to.
you're gonna feel like, well, am I
I
really
have
am I
to.
there? I totally get it.
Yeah.
Totally get
And
it.
so I did that for a while. I did a lot of sparring. I did, I was very immersed in the competitive kind of amateur boxing world throughout my 20s. I broke my nose pretty badly a couple times. And after my last kind of nose break, I had to kind of promise my family that I wasn't going to
Oh,
fight. Um, and I have had some kind of health setbacks over the last decade or so. Um, and I sort of had to choose my health first, which has been such a difficult thing to do because I continue to know I'm be competitive. And then now I'm not able to test my skills like anymore. And so as I'm improving my skills, I'm no longer able to step in the ring and like really compete,
right.
which has been kind of, like it's a bit of a tease. And especially
Yeah.
when you own a boxing gym and you're surrounded by people who are competing and people who are just like discovering competition and just, really passionate about that. It's been challenging to hold myself back for sure. I'll be like, let's just get in the ring and like, we'll just throw body shots. Um,
Yeah, just anything just to get a little taste of it, right? It's like an
just a
addiction.
little taste.
Yeah.
Just a little taste.
I
Yeah.
commonly say on the show, like once the gloves come on, they never come off.
I think it's like one way or the other, right? Like you either like are instantly like, I'm in, or you're like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
never again. You know,
Yeah.
you see the people kind of leave and be like, well, that's never happening
Yeah.
again.
I've seen many people like that.
I almost wish that's how it had been for me, because now it's just like, I feel like I'll always have that
Like
sense
unfinished
of like,
business kind of. Yeah, I get that.
totally. Yeah.
And what gym were you competing out of back then?
So it was a while ago. This gym hasn't been operating for, I want to say 7 or 8 years. It's called Florida Jacks on
Oh,
Young Street, Young and Bloor.
oh, okay. Yeah, I've never even, my father probably knows, like I'm in the sport because of my father mostly, but
Oh, nice.
Florida Jacks?
Florida Jacks. Yeah,
Oh
Florida
yeah, I've
Jacks.
never heard. But the coach, so who was your coach back then? Like are they still active in the sport or?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. So my coach, who I ended up kind of sticking with for most of my competitive career and still now, who became family, like as they do.
Yeah.
He actually stayed with me. We kind of like took our journey together. Like when we would move gyms, we would move together. And then when I decided to open BOLO, he came and brought all of his competitors and his clients over to BOLO. So that was kind of a cool full circle moment. So he would like train me, but he also like worked out of my gym.
Okay, that's
His
amazing.
name is Mario Lahowski.
Okay. Okay.
You know
Let's
him?
put that out there. You know what? If I see his face, I'm not very
Yeah.
familiar with many
Yeah. I
Toronto.
feel like you would, if you knew him, you would know him. He also started the, he kind of, I think in Toronto started the sort of like white collar amateur competition galas. He started one
Okay.
called the Brawl on Bay Street, and it was like the first one in
Yeah.
Toronto.
Yeah, I competed in one of those, so I probably did meet him at one point.
Well, he ran it. So if you competed in the Brawl on Bay Street, you would 100% know him, because he
Yeah.
would have like been the only person.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was pretty cool to like kind of take that journey with him. Yeah,
That's amazing. And that's really nice
yeah,
to hear, like how, because you can even hear the way you're saying it, like you obviously have a very close connection, not only to the sport, but also to the experiences that you had. It clearly, despite some of the setbacks, you clearly have a full love for the sport. And that's really beautiful to see. So when
yeah,
you
100%.
decided to like open up BOLO, this is something that's like, it's not just boxing. Like you also have a lot of components to the gym that are not very common. I mean,
Yeah,
it was open, right? The physical studio.
yeah. Mhm.
So, like, can you explain a little bit like the journey of BOLO, like why you decided to open it up? You know, what was your inspiration?
Yeah, 100%. So many things went into the inspiration behind BOLO. I wasn't even in the fitness industry professionally. I was actually a professional TV producer at the time during my 20s. That was my career. I
Wow,
was a entertainment news producer.
that's amazing.
Yeah. And that's when I was competitive throughout my time when I was at ETalk, and then I helped with a daytime show called
ETalk.
The Social. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I got a celebrity
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Something like that. And then yeah, as boxing and fitness became like a bigger and bigger chunk of my life, I sort of started to think about like how I could integrate that into my professional career. So it started off with me leaving CTV to pursue journalism in more of the fitness realm. So talking more about just like fitness and wellness in TV and magazines and online. Um, and I at the time got certified in coaching and personal training and all the things, mostly to just be like educated
Right.
on like from a actual like factual perspective, not just experience. And then once I was certified, I was like, I had the bug. I was like, hey, I'll take on some clients just for fun. And then it kind of like just sort of went wild from there, and became like a big part of my professional career as well. And so at the time I was like, I wrote full-time freelance journalism, and then I took on clients, and then obviously fitness and boxing was a huge part of like my life in training. And I just felt
Woman.
like underserved by the facilities that were in my kind of realm. Like in Toronto, I felt like I wasn't going to the places that served me from a sort of like technical boxing perspective. I just wasn't finding a place. Florida Jacks had closed, and I was sort of like popping around between places, and I really didn't feel like there were any boxing gyms that I really like loved to go to. I sort of missed the community that we had at Florida Jacks when I was there and boxing competitively with a number of other girls. And so that was missing. And then I also felt like in the boxing scene, there was like either like underground gross, like you don't really want to like have bare feet there because it's so gross. Technical gyms
Right.
where you can really learn how to fight. And then there was like the boutique fitness boxing where like you're going to hurt like I was like, don't go there, you're going to hurt yourself. If you don't know how to throw a punch, like you're going to hurt yourself. And you know, most of the time people did. And I was like, how, it's not that hard to make like a beautiful space that's also welcoming and not intimidating to a beginner, but that also can serve someone who's more advanced and wants to really like give it their all. And so that was a huge impetus for me in my creation of BOLO, was just like finding that balance and that marriage between like this kind of like, you know, really traditional nitty gritty kind of experience that feels exclusive sometimes, like it excludes people who don't know the fundamentals.
Okay.
And this sort of like watered down fitness version, you know. And then when I was creating all of the elements of what that would look like, I was thinking about my life as someone who was hustling from point A to point B to point C. I needed to get my work done. I needed to get my meeting in. I wanted to get my workout in. I wanted to see my friends, like all these things. And I was like, what if we had a facility where you could like do all these things under one roof? So
right. Okay.
That's when I decided to put a workspace and cafe into the gym. And I also had a blow dry bar in there so that women could, especially, it wasn't exclusive to women, but women especially could come in, get their work done, get a sick workout without having to sacrifice anything. And then if they needed support in getting ready for their next destination, because they're super sweaty and have to go to a meeting or a date or whatever, that we could help facilitate some of that efficiency. So that was part of that inspiration. And then when it came to like the fitness offering, you know, there was a time in my life where I boxed like 7 days a week. And then as I've gotten sort of like more into other kinds of styles of fitness, I really felt like there were no great facilities where you could really cross train effectively. Mm-hmm. And I think even now in boxing, like more so than 10 or 15 years ago when I was really competitive, and in all sports, like you see the Olympians, like everybody is cross training like crazy because there's so much benefit to like, you know, getting accessory work in other ways, like improving your speed and your agility and your flexibility and like all these things. And so I really wanted to create one space where you could do multiple things that I felt like I really wanted to do, and that weren't being offered in the same space anywhere else. So for me, I really wanted to put a hot room in my boxing gym where we could do some like, you know, some crazy stuff. We did no yoga in there. We did like hot, more like Pilates, like core strength. We did hot shadow
strength.
Yeah, we did hot like shadow boxing classes. We did hot Tabata, like intervals. Yeah, like I really tried to rethink like how we do hot rooms. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we did everything from like kettlebells to TRX, obviously all the levels of boxing. We had sparring classes and we had beginner level classes. Yeah, so we kind of like, we really like did it all. But it was obviously important for me to make sure that there was authentic professionals in there who were true to their sport. You know, we had a animal flow expert and a kettlebells expert and, you know, boxing. Like it was very important for me to not just have like one fitness person that does a couple things okay. It was really important for me to have a well-rounded team that could serve all these different elements in like a really beautiful kind of authentic way.
That's wonderful. This sounds like a really like, I want to say like advanced very beautiful space that you had. And I'm really sorry to hear that it closed down due to COVID. Like, that's really unfortunate. I wish that I had the opportunity to actually see the facility, because from what it sounds like, that is just like incredible. And for you to kind of design the idea and design like how it's all going to be and then actually implement it. Because, you know, people say talk and it's like, oh, I would like to do this, I would like to do that. There's tons of people who always talk about what they want to do and talk about like their dreams and stuff.
Mhm.
But you are in this very small category of somebody who's actually willing to put the work in to actually get it done. So that's
Yeah,
incredible. Like, I'm really
thank you.
impressed, and that's amazing that you're doing this, and what a strong, beautiful young lady that you are. And
Thank
like
you.
during this time, you know, since, you know, with COVID and everything, like I said, I know that you were doing some of the fitness stuff for United Fitness. But what have you been doing since, like during COVID? Because just from the sounds of it, you're a very active person. You like to be engaged. You like to have a goal and go for something. And of course, that must have been a lot more challenging during this time. So what did
Yeah.
you end up doing?
Well, for me, and for BOLO, it's community first always. So it's, you know, as soon as the world kind of shut down last year, the action came from what does the community need to be supported during this time? At the time, we obviously thought it was like going to be a couple weeks. Nobody knew what was in front of us, obviously. So for me, it was like my instant action was let's offer as much free stuff as we can for our amazing community, make sure they're well supported. And that was everything from, because remember, it wasn't just a gym, it was a community, it was a lifestyle hub. We did, you know, we had mental health talks, we had all kinds of cool, fun activations and parties, because it was this like really full service space. So for me, support looked like obviously having online classes. It also looked like having a book club. We also had a wine tasting club. This was all
Oh,
virtual, of course.
that's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, we had, you know, weekly meditations. And this was again, before all the other things happened, when everybody started doing those things, we just like went right into action just for the community and just really making sure that we showed up for them. And then of course, over time, you know, it became clear that like we had to support the community, but we also had to support ourselves in order to survive. So then we started to activate, right, like actual fees for classes, because we realized like, oh my gosh, like if we're going to be here for a long time, this is actually going to have to be a piece of our business, et cetera. So it looks like a lot of that. We had some fun events programmed with, again, like the extra supports that we felt the community really needed. So that always included like mindset, and we had like trivia nights and things like that, just to get people really like feeling connected at a time when we felt really isolated.
Right.
I always say, like, I think you can get a good workout like anywhere.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many great trainers, there's so many great gyms, there's so many great class concepts. And oh my gosh, like do, you know, 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 burpees, 100 crunches, like you'll be good, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
where's the like, but the soul of it is really like, what's the differentiator, right? So for me, giving BOLO a soul and like giving it like a really specific energetic experience was the differentiator for me.
Okay.
So the problem with virtual that I have found is that I think virtual takes a little bit of the soul out of it. I think you can still get an incredible workout. I think it's still possible to like make a connection, but my purpose with BOLO was so specific to this like in-person, like, you know, full sensory experience. And
Of
so it has been challenging to really find my footing as someone who likes to curate that kind of experience for my community in this world. But we have had, you know, we have 7 days a week virtual classes. Now we have 7 days a week outdoor classes. My team is incredible and still riding with me and with BOLO. So yeah, that's kind of the story. I don't know. It's like, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but you know, after 18 months of being sort of like ripped away from like what the soul of the business is, it's been challenging. I'm not going to lie. Like, I think, you know,
course.
business owners, especially in this industry, we have been tasked with like something that's almost impossible, you know, because it's like, pivot, pivot, pivot. And it's been this glorified pivot, right?
Mhm.
And I am I define myself as an entrepreneur.
For sure.
I define myself as resilient. I
Absolutely.
define myself as determined, and I'm a fighter in every sense. And this glorified pivot has been challenging, because if the pivot pivots you away from like your actual purpose of the business, I don't know if it should be glorified as much. Like, I think we all had to survive, but in terms of what's next for BOLO, I'm having a bit of an identity crisis about what that looks like for us without a physical space in this moment. And physical spaces don't manifest overnight. It takes,
Right.
you know, time, like years
Right.
it took, you know, to find the right space, negotiate the lease, you know, get the funding to create this magical location. Like our location is, it's $1 million space, you know.
Yeah.
That stuff doesn't happen overnight. So as we find our footing, it's challenging right now, you know, because it's so beyond like doing the workout online with trainer. Like, you know, our purpose is just like, it's kind of in a different, I put us in a little bit of a different category than just like fitness.
Right. And I can understand that because of all the different components you had to it, especially like, and when you say a soul, I understand that as well, because it's like when you go to a place, you're not just connecting with your trainer, you're connecting with the people that are there. And energy doesn't lie. It's like I could be
Yeah.
speaking to you like this virtually, but it's very different when I, for example, met you at the United We Fight and we have that physical connection. You know, I can see you, you can see me, you know, we can give
Yeah.
each other a hug or something and show the appreciation between one another. It's very different. And I can totally understand that frustration. And I like, you know, my heart goes out to you because of course this is something that's very important to you that you work so hard for. So, you know, I'm also a firm believer that, you know, where you put the energy, right? There's always something that has to, like, you will get what you put into it always, no matter what. And you are
Mhm.
determined, you are a fighter. Like, this is very, very clear. You know, I don't
Mhm.
like know you for years and years and years, but just hearing your story, it's a no-brainer. Of course you're a fighter, of course you're determined. And I definitely would explain you as like an entrepreneur. So I would imagine that throughout all this time, now that things are opening up and whatever, there will be a moment where there's going to be like a crack and a break, and you're going to be like, this is it. And you're going to have that
Mm.
because you're always
Mm.
thinking anyways. You're always like, kind of, you're an opportunist in a way like that. Like once you see it, then you're like, oh, there it is. And
Thank you. I
yeah,
hope that we'll
I
put it
give
into the
like,
universe.
yeah, absolutely. I give like my full support, and like I cannot wait to see what you do come out with eventually, and then we can definitely talk about that then too.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
And like when it comes to, I saw you did a 'cause I first recognized you when I saw you and my teammate Mandy doing the Everlast stuff.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, Mandy. Oh, yes. What
Yeah.
a warrior. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
She's
So proud.
fantastic. She is. She's a
Um,
proud Canadian. Yep.
Absolutely. And it was like, honestly, it's been a joy to like just get a glimpse inside her training protocols. Like I love it. I love it. I love watching her. I loved watching like the process of like adding things in and all the kind of like really creative drills. And I love it. Last time I spoke to her, I was just like, everything you're doing on Instagram, I know that social media is not everything, but I just like, I couldn't look away.
Of
You know what I mean? And
course.
I think that that's obviously such a beautiful thing to share with the world, is like, just like, this is my journey and this is how I've done it. And this is how hard I'm working. And these are all the different experts I'm bringing in to like,
Mhm.
sharpen my skills, like sharpen my brain. Cause boxing is more than just, you know, muscles and,
Yep.
you know, whatever. It's like, it's a real thinker sport. And to watch her integration of the thinking and the reactions and just like, yeah, like it's just so cool. Anyways, I think she's amazing, and I'm like honored to be on a team with her. um Team Everlast has been an awesome thing to come out of COVID. Like, you know, it's been a, you know, a heavy dark time for me professionally, but obviously that is for any boxer, you know, to have Everlast, you know, pop around and want to work with you is a special moment. So I'm very proud. I'm very proud to represent sort of amateur females in Toronto, and I think also give like a different face to the sport. I think you know, you don't have to be a competitive boxer in order to be a boxer. I think it's nice to have, and I think it is important to like test your skills, but as someone who's like retired and amateur, and to still be considered, you know, someone who should be respected in the sport, I don't take that lightly. I take that very seriously.
Of course. It's a very like, you know, sometimes looking from the outside, if you come from different sports that are non-combat sports, sometimes it's, some people look at boxers like we're crazy. It's like, why would you want to go into an enclosed square and punch somebody and get punched in the face?
Yeah.
It's not just that, right? Like, and as a competitor, you understand that. So when somebody goes into the world of boxing, sometimes they also expect something different. You get a lot of people that have this kind of, how would I say, like an ego or something, and they, you know, they just want to kind of feel like, yeah, like I'm the biggest guy in the room or the biggest girl in the room or whatever, and then they get this rude awakening, which turns out to be like a life lesson down the road. And thank God I got it in a controlled environment like boxing, you know.
Sure.
So I look at stuff like that, like people have no idea unless they actually try, like how impactful the sport is on so many different levels for everybody. And like you said, not everybody's going to want to step back in there, but the experience alone makes them understand something about themselves as a fighter, because everybody
totally, you don't come and go the same person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I really like enjoyed this conversation so far, and like you know, just to hear your journey and just to hear like all about BOLO is just absolutely amazing. And to see what you've been doing, like I still see your stuff, like I saw that you met Khloe Kardashian.
I did, yeah. So yeah, I mean, you know, BOLO, so sort of my media experience, you know, helped to put me in like a community where I was seen as a sort of a thought leader in fitness, which was kind of a cool position to be in. And especially with that
kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So I was, you know, I was already in the media industry as an expert, and then opening a gym and being like sort of a thought leader in the fitness industry, then kind of, it allowed me to do some really cool things. I've been on media tours across North America with different wellness brands. I hosted a workout with Khloe Kardashian in 2019.
Awesome.
And that was especially cool because for me, body positivity in fitness and in boxing is incredibly important. And this is a topic that's really close to my heart, is helping women, you know, love their bodies and treat their bodies like temples, and or treat it like a garbage can when you feel like it, without any apologies. And Khloe Kardashian's line, the Good American line, is all about like diversity of bodies in fitness, and that's something that obviously BOLO stands for body love. That was, you know, a huge piece of my why. And so anytime I get to align with brands like that, it's a good day. And then obviously anytime you're aligned with a Kardashian, it's like, it's a good day for business. Yeah, it's a good day for business.
Yeah.
And it's cool. Like, you know, I am a boxer, but I feel very passionately about lots of different fitness. So for me, I like to incorporate boxing when I can.
Yep.
But I'm also like so in love with so many other styles of movement that I'm just like, I just love movement so much that I'm just kind of happy to be there and happy to contribute in whatever way that I can. So with Khloe, it was kind of like a buffet of movement. We did some, you know, animal flows and fun box fit style drills. And I just really love like the element of creativity in fitness, like taking something very, you know, basic and just making it something new that someone has maybe not seen before, that could maybe like spark a little moment for them where they're like, oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sharing that passion with people is like, at the end of the day, like, yes, I'm passionate about boxing. Yes, I'm passionate about fitness, but I'm really passionate about is just delivering kind of a workout that inspires people.
Absolutely. Because you don't have to be fixated, right? Like fitness isn't just one thing. Like when I talk to
No.
many people ask me all the time, like, oh, she's a boxer. And I always correct them, like, no, I'm an athlete. It's like,
Yes.
it's something that I'm projecting my skills in right now. But like, for example, I have a
Yeah.
history in
I'm an
amateur wrestling
athlete.
or whatever, right? Now professional wrestling. So it's like, you don't have to be, isolated
Yeah.
as one thing. It's like, fitness is, like you said, you have animal movements, you have like all these boxer size fitnesses, and there's so much other different Pilates you mentioned at one point. There's so many things that you can do that is so beneficial for the body, and everybody needs that. Everybody needs to see what works for them, because what might work for somebody, like Pilates, I just never went keen to Pilates personally. I can't do it. I don't know why.
Maybe if you would it in a hot room, you'd be more into
maybe
it.
a hot room, like maybe.
That's what I'm
It's like I can
saying.
do it. It's just like I don't enjoy it. I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Well, you haven't done it with the right person then, I think.
Maybe, yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm not a Pilates instructor, but more so just like for boxers, like the core is so important.
It's
to
so
be
important,
strong.
right?
So for me, it's just like, I love core workouts, anything core, like,
Anything
yeah, let's
to like
go.
help you with the other areas, like you mentioned. See, I can go in the ring and do like 15 rounds. You put me in like 5 minutes Pilates, and I'm like, I'm done.
I love it.
But you know what I mean? But like everything else, like for example, animal flow, like I think that's like so much fun to do. Like it's just fun and I like it. So it's
Yeah,
really
me
important
too.
that you mentioned that it doesn't have to be fixated, right? That you love boxing, but you also enjoy exploring what your body kind of gravitates to. So that's super important.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And
like for a
introducing
young
those
girl,
things to people.
that was to say to you, like, I don't know, like, where to even take my foot. And what if a young girl said to you, I have these likings in all these different areas and I don't know how to marry them? What would you say to a young girl that has that same fire and that same passion, and you're seeing it in like a little 5-year-old or
Like
boy?
about wanting to be in, like to get into boxing or fitness or
Anything, like something that they're just like, I have all these amazing ideas that I would just love to do, and I don't know how to kind of like incorporate it, or I don't know if I can do it.
like physically or like in business?
It could be both.
Well, different, I guess. I think that for me, the thing that I like to promote the most with anybody who's like curious about any type of wellness, fitness, nutrition, mindset, meditation, whatever, I think it's just to be curious, follow your curiosity.
Mhm.
So I think if you're curious, you should try it. And if it's not the right thing, you should keep trying in different ways. So it's like, you don't like Pilates or you haven't found the one that speaks to you, but that doesn't necessarily you don't like Pilates. It means that you haven't found the environment that like really helps you connect to it.
Yep.
So I've had people, come to me and be like, I hate boxing. And then they've done my class and been like, oh my God, that was amazing. And it's not like, I'm not tooting my own horn, but I think, and there's been people who've come to my class and been like, not for me,
Right.
but I just think that like, following your curiosity and not giving up at the first try that you didn't like something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's like food. Like you could have steak somewhere and it's gross, and then you could have it and be the best steak of your life.
Absolutely.
Different restaurants, different palates, different spices. And I think for anyone young or old to follow your curiosity and to keep trying. For me, like meditation has never been my forte. That's probably an area of wellness where like I just lack.
Yeah.
I lack in my ability to follow through, and I still try.
Yeah.
I'm still trying different apps, different people, different mentors, because I'm not giving up on meditating. I just know that I haven't found the thing that has made me be like, oh, fuck yeah,
Yeah.
because it's out there, but it's
Yeah.
just like you have to sift through it. So the same goes for wellness with movement as well. And I think anyone who's curious should try, and try not to get scared away or deterred if you didn't feel like you kept up, or if you didn't feel like you were accepted, or if you didn't feel like you did well enough. Like I think just keep trying. it's a big, 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 scary, fitness world out there. There's a lot of shit to sift through and things to choose from. And I think, again, like I said, you can get a good workout anywhere, but like falling in love with it, falling in love with the people that you do it with, falling in love with the mindset around it, you have to keep trying for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That can be applied to anything in life, really. Because I think that like the one thing that I always kind of use an example of, and it's very, very outside the fitness realm, but like, for example, math. Like when I was in high school, I actually enjoyed math, but I was never good at it. And I had so many different teachers, of course, right? High school, right? You go through these different teachers, but I had one tutor who just made it click, just a different style of teaching.
There you go. Yeah.
And so that is like, that's my example I use because it's outside the fitness realm, but you can apply it to absolutely everything.
100%, 100%. And I think, I think people give up too early, because especially in this world of like instant gratification, we just want everything to be perfect right away,
Yes.
And it takes some grit and some like, determination to like keep going at something that you didn't love the first time. And I think, I believe that, that pays off. And the same is true for business. I think following curiosity and not ignoring your instincts is huge. I definitely wouldn't be where I am or have done what I have done without just this like really strong gut feeling that I am sort of committed to listening to.
Absolutely. And you have to take a risk. You never know. You have to take those risks. If you fail, like at least you tried it. And then you're not like, oh, I should have tried it and seen what would happen, right? Super important. Do you have a vision, a goal right now that you are kind of looking towards? Like, do you have like a big like 10-year plan for yourself right now? Or is that still kind of like in the making because of the midst of everything that's going on?
Yeah. It's tough for me to say because I've always been like a really goal oriented person. And obviously, I had a 5-year plan, that 10-year, 20-year plan that is now been, really thrown off by what we have been up against.
Right.
I don't know. And I'm actually trying to lean into that because I have always had a plan and I've always, really been in control, and I'm not anymore. And I'm just taking a moment to embrace that.
Yeah.
Again, like kind of being curious about what it feels like to not be in control and have any fucking clue what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't have a goal. Like, I mean, my goal, to be honest, is to be happy. And I think that that's a new goal for me. My goals over the last 5 years have been to create a monstrous, successful business without any business experience. BOLO was incredibly amazing. And it was also the most challenging thing that anyone could ever do. I had 40 staff, like essentially overnight, after never having managed a team or, had started a business. I had no accounting or finance or HR experience.
It's a lot.
So yeah. And I, had thousands of members who came first in line before me or my family or my friends or my needs, or my health. And obviously a team that I would, lie on train tracks for, I still would. And, so my goal then was to build this business, to make these people happy, to create something beautiful and new and special and break boundaries and inspire people and connect with people. And that was my goal. Right now, obviously those things are still there. Those are my passions. But right now my goal is to kind of put myself first for a minute and just kind of do some self-exploration.
Absolutely. Because you know what? Like you give and give and give and give. And there comes a point where you're burning a candle at both ends. And right now you just need to recharge. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But you just need to take all the time in the world. And as you say, you follow that gut feeling, you'll know when you're ready to get back in there. You'll know.
Yeah.
Like intuitively. Because if you're that connected to your own body, you're going to know when you're ready to take on the world again. And like, I can't wait to witness it. Like, I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited to hear like all these amazing ideas you have, like all these amazing ventures that you have. The fact that knowing and hearing what a go-getter you are, I'm super excited to see when you're ready to take
Thank
that next
you.
step forward. So like, kudos
That's
to
so
you and hats
sweet.
off to you. You're an incredible woman and
Oh,
inspiration for me as well. Like, just absolutely amazing.
ditto, babe. We got to get a training session in together.
Absolutely. I love that. And you
I
know
would
what?
love
Is
that
there
too.
anything else that you'd like to tell everybody while we're here?
No, I think we covered it. This was such a great conversation.
I know, I absolutely loved it. Thank you so much for taking your time. And if people wanted to find you, what are all of your social media outlets that they could find you on?
Yeah, so if you want to know all the things about my life, including, all the things you never wanted to know about my dogs, my training, my business, my health, my wellness routine, my fashion, and just all the lame thoughts that go through my mind. That's at Caleigh Fit, CaleighFit. And then Bolo's news happens at Bolo Inc. on Instagram. And yeah, that's
Amazing.
it.
Thank you so much. And stay tuned for next week's episode of The Female Fist, where you can find myself, Scarlett Delgado, ScarlettDelgado on Instagram, and the rest of the Talk and Fight episodes with amazing guests just like Caleigh here herself. Thank you again so much. I cannot wait to reconnect with you.
Thanks, love.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.